In this video, we're going to break down a few rules that I know I have been playing wrong in Star Wars Shatterpoint, and maybe you have too. Hey guys, Rich from Rich Big Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Welcome to this, another Star Wars Shatterpoint video and our penultimate video of Star Wars week. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope you've all had a great week so far. And I was thinking about what to do as my last video, and a couple of rules that were clarified quite a long time ago have kind of resurfaced and are being talked about at the moment. And it is something that passed me by. It passed a couple of other people that I play with by. And I just assumed, well, if it's passed us by, it may have passed some of you by as well. And it's always good to educate people. It's always good to get the wider word out there when there are rules that have not necessarily been changed but have been clarified, and that clarification does mean that we have to play things slightly differently. So I've got a few examples, I suppose two and a half examples of what I'm going to go through today. Quick reminder, guys, that we do have our final Star Wars themed video happening tomorrow. It will be live from around about midday on Saturday, the 4th of May, of course, Star Wars Day. It was a really fun video to put together. Me and Quinn have actually already recorded it now, so we hope you really do enjoy that one. But without further ado, let's jump over and let's see what we are talking about. So the first thing I want to talk about is steadfast. Now, for most of us, characters that have got steadfast, really simple, easy and straightforward. When they're attacked, if they would be shoved, they ignore the first shove. Seems pretty simple, seems pretty straightforward. However, there was a question on the forums, and for anyone that, so all of these are, all of the sources for all of these are directly from the forums. So whilst they're not in, they might not be in the rule books, there might not be an errata around them. I always recommend going and checking out the forums. They're a great source of content because there's some great questions that get asked on there, but I know a lot of people do not see them, hence why I'm putting these videos together. So let's start off then, and let's take a quick look at a question asked by Shadow Marvel of May last year. So quite a while ago. Does steadfast prevent the shove from the expertise part of the stance card? If a character has steadfast and they didn't receive a push as part of their attack tree, when you reach the part of the attack sequence that the expertise happens, does steadfast prevent that push? And then he goes on and asks something else specific around Bo-Katan and Mandos, but we don't need to worry too much about that. And then Nagoldar responded on the 6th of June, no, steadfast prevents a shove coming from the combat tree. So steadfast is only going to prevent shoves coming from the combat tree itself. Now, it's something that isn't, there isn't a huge number of characters out there that have shoves on their expertise tree, or indeed shoves anywhere else on their card. But there are a couple of examples. Gar Saxon has had one from day one. We now also have Del Meeko. So if we take a look at his DLT 19X targeting blaster, he does get a shove on one result. So this shove would actually bypass the steadfast. Even though he doesn't have a shove on his chart, you would still be able to shove that character even if they did have steadfast. So it definitely increases the value of access to shoves outside of your combat tree. And then another example recently released, we've got Wrecker and Omega with their bulldoze tactic ability. At the start of this unit's activation, one character in this unit may dash. If it ends this movement within one or within range one of one or more enemy characters, it may shove one of those characters. So again, this is going to be another example of where shoves are going to work and ignore steadfast. It's been around for a little while. It's something that when they're on the forums, they're not always widely seen, widely known. So I thought I'd put this quick video together because I know it's definitely something that and to be fair, I haven't been playing a huge amount of Shatterpoint lately, and I haven't been playing Gar Saxon recently either, nor have I played against Gar Saxon, and that was really the only example that I can think of where it comes into play. Obviously now we've got a couple of other new units, they've got the rule on there as well. It sort of raises its head again. So yeah, really, really interesting. It just increases the value of these characters. So yep, steadfast will only negate the first shove from a combat tree. So there you go. Let's take a look then at the next one, and it's going to be expose and disarm. And again, this is something that was from quite a while ago. It was asked on the forums, and it's kind of reared its head again because of some of the new characters that we've got out. People have gone, oh, actually, I didn't realise this. Now, expose and disarm, they do kind of the same thing, but at opposite ends of the dice. So expose, if you are exposed, the way that I think the majority of people played it in the past was if you're exposed, you don't get access to your expertise tree. So when you're defending and the attacker shoots you or hits you, and you roll, four expertise dice, you're not going to be able to use those expertise dice because you don't have access to your defensive expertise. And similarly with disarm, if you are disarmed and you roll expertise dice, you don't get to use those expertise dice because you don't have access to the expertise tree. However, that is not the case. So I want to run through a couple of different things here because it's really all about timing. That's what often comes down to in these games when things happen. So there's a few different threads on this, but this is just sort of a collation of a number of them. At what point does lay low trigger? I assume Appendix A 6B1 as the ability adds a die result. So what are we asking here? So lay low, for anyone that doesn't know, is the trigger off the ARF troopers. We'll take a look at it in a second. And basically they get an extra expertise if they have a hunger token. Seems perfectly sensible. Lay low adds the results in 6.B.2. Yes. Okay. So we know that. So we know that we know the timing now of when that defensive expertise dice is added. So we continue and say, when does exposed clear die results? I assume between 5 and 6 as the condition states before modifying the dice rolls. So we now know that yes, the results are moved at the start of step 6. So at the very beginning of step 6 is where exposed clears those die results. So again, remember these numbers because they're really, really important. So the thread then goes on to ask, at what point does tempered aggression reroll dice? These dice are rerolled in 6A1. Now, tempered aggression is the ability from Mace Windu. It allows him to reroll his fails based on how much power he spends, basically. So there we go. And then lastly, at least for this point, at what point does disarm clear die results? Are rerolled die results not affected by disarm? The results are removed at the start of step 6. So what we're saying is that at the very beginning, you remove the dice from either expose or disarm. But anything after that point that either allows you to add dice or allows you to reroll dice into an expertise, they are countered. And just to clarify it all here, the effect of expose is described as, while defending, characters in this unit cannot use defense expertise results. The next time a character in this unit makes a defense roll, remove any defense dice with defense expertise results from the roll before modifying the dice rolls. This effect seems to happen in the ambiguous steps between 5 and 6 of the timing chart. The Lalo reads that it occurs during 6B. The statement, while defending, characters in this unit cannot use defense expertise results, seems to indicate that regardless if expertise results are added, you cannot use them while exposed. And it goes on to say that it's more of a narrative description at the front, but this means, and this is the important part, this means if an expertise result is added during the modify step of an attack or defense, the character will be able to make use of that result. Really, really important. And it's really important because it increases how good some of these abilities out there are. And I want to run through a few examples, but the golden rule is access to expertise isn't removed. Anything after the disarm or indeed the expose kicks in, anything after that you are going to be able to use, and that kicks in at the very beginning of the step, right? So right at the very beginning, so the first thing that happens during modification. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. I've picked out 4, but these are not an exhaustive list by any stretch of the imagination. It's just to give you an idea of some examples. So first up, Clone Commander Cody. Yes, the never used Clone Commander Cody. He has an ability called Bring It Down with an allied clone trooper supporting character within 4 that has 1 or more hunker tokens makes a ranged attack as part of a combat action. It may reroll up to 2 of its failure results. If that unit is disarmed, then they are going to be able to count those failure results if they're rerolled into expertise, that is. Let's take a look at Clone Sergeant Hunter. He has a couple of things going on here. Let's take a look at it's hard to compete with a Jedi. When a character in this unit defends against an attack, it may reroll up to 2 of its failure results. That's great. If it has exposed, it may instead reroll all of its failure results. So if he rolls 5 fails, the expose then disappears, and then he gets to re-roll those 5 fails. If he rolls them into 5 expertise, he gets to use all of those 5 expertise. Again, this has made the leader of the batch so much better, because a lot of the bad batch, if they haven't had access to that one expertise is going to be really good for them. They get to change 1 fail to either a result or an expertise, and that expertise will indeed work. Our clone troopers, we've already spoke about lay low and how that works. And then lastly, one of the newer characters, we've got Intimidating Presence from Chewbacca. Yes, I refuse to call him Chewie. That is also going to work as well, and going to make sure that you can not bypass, disarm and expose, but it's already happened, and then you get to do your extra things. So very interesting, guys. It has raised up some characters who were kind of maybe mediocre before, and maybe now actually they could be even better. And it's made Clone Sergeant Hunter even better than he was before. I would argue potentially too good, but time will let us know on that one. But let me know in the comment section below, guys. Did you know about these rules? I can't remember if I remember reading the shove one before, but it's maybe just left my memory. But the expose and disarm one is definitely not something that I had seen before. So yeah, and it was from quite a while ago. But now we've got a lot more characters in the game who can benefit from that. Make sure you're implementing it in your games. As I mentioned, guys, we've got the big video coming tomorrow. It's like 2.5 hours long, I think. So it's a big bumper edition of a breakdown. So do make sure you check that out. It'll be online from around about midday tomorrow. So you'll have plenty of time over the bank holiday weekend if you're here in the UK to go and watch that. Guys, I want to give a big shout out to all of our Patreons. Thank you so much for your support. It really, really does mean the world. And if you do want to support us on Patreon, you can do so from as little as £1 a month. There'll be a link down in the description below. And you can also become a YouTube member as well and supporting us directly via YouTube. All proceeds from Patreon and from YouTube membership go directly back into the channel. They help with giveaways. They help with the general running of the channel, upgrading equipment, that sort of thing. So yeah, that help is really, really appreciated. But you don't need to do either of those things to support the channel. Just simply commenting, subscribing, liking, and sharing the videos really, really does help, and it really goes a long way to making the channel successful, the algorithm, and all of that good stuff. I also want to give a big shout out to Loyalist Games, the sponsor of the channel. Thank you so much to Neil and the team. They do make the running of it that much easier. And as a thank you to you guys, there's a link down in the description below where you can receive a £5 discount from your first order. So go and check that out. And as always, guys, it's going to leave me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, may the force be with you. Welcome to